working to connect a region of over 600 mil bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region on today's headlines. Aung San Suu Kyi is set to speak out in Myanmar's defense at the UN's top court. On Wednesday, a day after the former democracy icon was urged to stop the genocide against Rohingya Muslims. The United States on Tuesday stiffened sanctions against Myanmar's army chief over the mass killings of Rohingya as his country defended itself against genocide charges before the top UN court. And Team Philippines raked in 11 more gold medals to formally clinch the 30th Southeast Asian Games overall championship, described by a top local sports official as sweet surprise. Aung San Suu Kyi is set to speak out in Myanmar's defense at the UN's top court on Wednesday, a day after the former democracy icon was urged to stop the genocide against Rohingya Muslims. Once hailed internationally for her defiance of Myanmar's junta, the Nobel Peace Laureate will this time be on the side of the Southeast Asian nation's military when she takes the stand at the International Court of Justice, or ICJ. The small African state of Gambia has taken Myanmar to court over a bloody 2017 military crackdown in which thousands of people were killed and around 740,000 Rohingya fled to neighboring Bangladesh. Let's take a look.
Je vous remercie. Please be seated.
All that the Gambia asks is that you tell Myanmar to stop these senseless killings, to stop these acts of barbarity and brutality that have shocked and continue to shock our collective conscience, to stop this genocide of its own people.
Meanwhile, pro-Rohingya protesters demonstrated in front of the International Court of Justice, where Gambia launched a case against Myanmar for what it called the genocide of the Southeast Asian country's Rohingya minority group. Take a look.
This is the historic day for Rohingya people. We want, from this court case, we want justice for the genocide against our people. This is the beginning of the process. Of course, it is a lengthy process, but it is the beginning. So we want justice and rights for our people. Our community as a whole, especially the people in refugee camps in Bangladesh, Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh, they are very happy, and they have been desperate, hopeless. They were hopeless, but today they see justice will come at the end of the day.
Around 740,000 Rohingya fled to neighboring Bangladesh after a bloody crackdown by Myanmar military in 2017 that United Nations investigators have already described as genocide. Muslim-majority Gambia accused Myanmar of breaching the 1948 Genocide Convention and has asked the court, set up in 1946, to rule on disputes between UN member states to take emergency measures to stop further violence. Suu Kyi, who 28 years ago today was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, is set to speak in Myanmar's defense on Wednesday, and she is expected to argue that Myanmar was conducting legitimate operations against Rohingya militants and that the ICJ has no jurisdiction in the case. Meanwhile, Aung San Suu Kyi's decision to personally lead the Southeast Asian nation's case at the court has proved popular at home, where the Rohingya are widely regarded as illegal immigrants despite having lived in Myanmar for decades. Flag-waving supporters joined the rallies in support of Suu Kyi in several Myanmar cities on Tuesday, and rally organizers in Yangon said they have permission from authorities to live stream Wednesday's ICJ hearing on a big screen outside the City Hall. Is expected to tell ICJ judges that Myanmar was conducting legitimate operations against the Rohingya militants, that it has carried out its own investigations into the bloodshed, and that the court has no jurisdiction in the case. Huge crowds are expected to turn out in Yangon to watch Suu Kyi speak via live stream amid a groundswell of support in Myanmar, where the woman, dubbed the Lady, is still widely loved. Meanwhile, the United States stiffened sanctions against Myanmar's military chief, Min Aung Hlaing, and 3 other senior commanders over the killings of Rohingya to mark International Human Rights Day. The United States will not tolerate torture, kidnapping, sexual violence, murder, or brutality against innocent civilians, Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin said in a statement. Aung San Suu Kyi was once mentioned in the same breath as Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi, having won the Nobel in 1991 for her resistance to Myanmar's brutal junta. Now, after 15 years under house arrest, she was freed in 2010 and led her party to victory in elections in 2015. But her defense of the same military that once kept her locked up has since caused international condemnation. Myanmar, meanwhile, faces a number of legal challenges over the fate of the Rohingya, including a probe by the International Criminal Court, a separate war crimes tribunal in The Hague, and a lawsuit in Argentina personally mentioning Suu Kyi. In other news, Malacanang announced that there will be no 4th extension of martial rule in war-torn Mindanao. According to Secretary Salvador Panelo, the president's decision was based on the assessment defense advisors.
The Office of the President wished to announce that President Rodrigo Roa Duterte is not extending martial law. It will expire on December 31st, 2019. His decision is based on the assessment of the security forces, as well as the defense advisors, that the terrorist and extremist rebellion have been weakened as a result of the capture or neutralization of their leaders, as well as there has been a decrease in the index crime. The people of Mindanao rest assured that any incipient major threat in Mindanao will be nipped in the bud, even without martial law.
Meanwhile, expressing concern over reports about international funding to communist-linked organizations in the Philippines, a member of the European Union Parliament vowed to help the Philippine government put a stop to the flow of financial support. Tom Vandrendrish, who is a member of the Vlaams Belang National Party and Identity and Democracy Group, said as part of the Delegation for Relations with the countries of Southeast Asia and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, he's happy to help the Philippines. He attended the meeting with a Philippine delegation from the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples, or NCIP, on December 4. The lawyer Norberto M. Navarro, NCIP Commissioner, who headed the Philippine delegation, said they are glad that Mr. Vandrendishi shares the same mind, especially that the Communist Party of the Philippines and its armed wing, the New People's Army, or NPA, are actually terrorist groups that have been declared as such by the U.S., European Union, the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the Philippines. And we'll be back with more news in the ASEAN region right after this short break.
Visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination, but oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Contrary to the bad picture being painted by communist-linked groups, an official of the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples, or NCIP, said the protection of indigenous peoples in the Philippines is alive and robust. Now this, according to lawyer Norberto M. Navarro, NCIP Commissioner, in a meeting with European Union Parliament member Tom Vandreschi on December 4. Our agency, NCIP, is the one mandated by domestic law to protect and promote the rights of indigenous peoples, and because of that law, we've been able to title 5.7 million hectares in the name of indigenous peoples as communal owned. And to appreciate that figure, that's already 1/6 of our country, Navarro said, referring to Republic Act 8371 of Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act of 1997, or IPRA, that recognizes and promotes all the rights of indigenous cultural communities, indigenous peoples of the Philippines. The NCIP also said the NCIP is set to title another 5 million hectares, which will make it 1/3 of the country titled to IPS. IPS represented, he added, that IPs are widely represented in all levels of Philippine local government units through their mandatory membership in local legislative councils chosen under IP customary laws. More British companies are keen on doing business in the Philippines, encouraged by the country's growing economy and availability of an educated workforce. British Chamber of Commerce Philippines BCCP Executive Chairman Chris Nelson said that in the last 5 years, over 2,300 British companies expressed interest in retail, particularly food, infrastructure, and education and training. I anticipate new companies will be coming, and also what we are trying to do as well is to grow the business of existing companies, he said in an interview on Tuesday. The BCCP is continuously promoting other business opportunities, including healthcare and business consultancy and other growth areas such as manufacturing, energy, and environment through various events. He also said British firms considers the Philippines, quote, a very attractive market for investors, given its robust economy and English-speaking population. Mr. Nelson also cited the country's ease of doing business law while pushing for the passage of the bill amending the Retail Trade Liberalization Act. A bill has been filed in the Senate proposing to bring down the minimum paid-up capital for foreign firms engaged in the retail trade business. In other news, locally made arts and crafts went on display and for sale at this year's Market Week in Papua New Guinea. Here's Echo Hortaleza Quinola reporting from Papua New Guinea.
Hello fellow men, please join me in rummaging the downtown area of Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea to see how the people of this country are artistically inclined. This shirt is one of their artworks.
My father is an artist, so I'm helping to paint. I used to help him to do his artwork. Then I learned from my dad. The craft market is very good, and then we used to sell our product, and a lot of customers come and buy our paintings, and we used to live on this artwork. I was 14 years old, I paint, so now I paint almost 16 years I paint, yeah. In one painting I paint almost 2 weeks, but now because I used to paint every day in my life, so that's why I paint fast. Like to complete one painting I used to paint like normally 2 days and 3 days.
Please join me as I show you around. I'm sure you will enjoy. Craft Market. The people of Papua New Guinea are art enthusiasts. They are known for their distinctive art and handicrafts. They are so adept in carvings, baskets, or the so-called bilum, stone tools, adornments, shells, and weavings. Some of these materials are worn during their performance of their traditional dance, where they show a carnival atmosphere. These market vendors are happy with the practice of moving to different venues every Saturday. The vendors sell their products mostly to tourists and businesses. According to them, this is their special and easier way to promote PNG handmade products, and they are also proud that these artifacts has a very unique design of home establishments and office display.
Morning.
Your name please?
Mikey Umba.
Mikey Umba.
Mikey Umba.
You're from Port Moresby?
I am from Cebu, came here back in 2019, 1995.
So these are your artworks?
Yeah, these are my artwork.
I think it has a meaning.
Oh yeah, all the paintings has the meaning behind them. Well, once the painting, then we can tell the meaning of the story of the painting itself. Oh, I've been painting for about more than 10 years now, 10 to 15 years. I started back painting in 1997 to date.
I heard there's very beautiful things from all over Papua New Guinea here, made by people, and reflecting different cultures. It's lovely, I've just arrived and there's so much to see. Oh, there's, yeah, some really unique work from different parts. The masks from the Sepik River are very traditional, I think, and then carvings, and then beautiful artists, paintings, some modern, some traditional, and then special bags called bilums. Yeah, really amazing amount of work that goes into them. very traditional style of carrying things. Yeah, I recommend it very much. You must come and visit.
This is our culture. We have been painting our face, traditional painting. Our culture, our ancestors have been painting with our clay and all this. But now we can use acrylic paint and oil base and all this.
Modern now.
Modern now, sir.
Reporting from Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, this is Echo Hortaleza Quinola and I am on with 25.
Team Philippines on Tuesday raked in 11 more gold medals to formally clinch the 30th Southeast Asian Games overall championship, described by a top local sports official as a sweet surprise. The host country was actually unthreatened on top of the medal tally from start to finish of the 10-day biennial meet, duplicating its first overall title in 2005. The Philippines garnered a total of 383 medals, 149 golds, 116 silvers, and 118 bronzes, surpassing the 112 golds, 85 silvers, and 92 bronze medals it won in the 2005 Manila meet. Philippine Sports Commission Chairman William Butch Ramirez, also chef de mission of the Philippines, said members of the triumphant Team Philippines will now go to Malacanang on December 18 to meet with President Duterte and to receive their incentives. Under Republic Act 10699, the winners of SEA Games stand to receive 300,000 pesos for gold, 15,000 or 1,500, 15,000 pesos for silver, and 150,000 pesos for silver and 60,000 for bronze. The Philippine Olympic Committee earlier said it will give similar amount to the gold, silver, and bronze medalists of the SEA Games. Vietnam, the next host of the SEA Games, rallied in the final 2 days of competitions to finish second with 95 golds, 85 silvers, and 103 bronzes, followed by Thailand with 91, 101, 122, and Indonesia with 72, 82, 111 tally. Malaysia, the 2017 overall champion, settled for 5th place with 55, 58, 71 performance. Singapore collected 53 golds, 46 silvers, and 69 silvers in 6th spot. Myanmar and Cambodia had 4 golds each, but the former finished 7th with superior silvers, 18, and bronzes, 50, while the Cambodian athletes brought home 6 silvers and 36 bronzes, followed by Brunei, which is 2,527. Sukan Taipan Yavong snatched Laos' lone gold medal in the final day of action after winning the kickboxing 60-kilogram low kick. Laos has also 5 silvers and 27 bronzes. And despite wishes from local netizens, Timor-Leste went home without a gold, but an emotional Rosa Luisa dos Santos won the hearts of the Filipinos after bagging a silver medal in Taekwondo to add to their country's 5 bronzes. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Alma Angeles, always one with 25.